Listen closely, because this may be the message you did not know you needed. What if the thing disturbing your peace is not outside your house, not at your job, not in some far off battle, but sitting in the most private space of your home every single day? What if the place meant to restore you has slowly become a place of pressure, heaviness, and silent draining? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, something simple is going to hit deep. This is not complicated. It is not strange. It is not about fear. It is about awareness. It is about what you allow, what you ignore, and what you have stopped noticing. And before you click away, hear this, because the small thing you call normal may be the very thing stealing your rest, clouding your mind, and delaying the peace you have been praying for. Watch all the way through, because the ending matters. One small change tonight could shift the atmosphere of your whole home. I want you to hear me carefully, not only with your ears, but with your heart, because what I am about to say is simple, close, and so ordinary that many people keep missing it. And because they miss it, they stay worn out. They stay stuck. They keep praying, keep fasting, keep hoping, and still something feels blocked. Peace feels far away. Joy feels weak. Rest feels broken, and they do not understand why. Let me tell you this clearly. Some of the deepest lessons about spiritual life are not learned in a crowd. They are learned in quiet places. They are learned at home. They are learned in the private corners where nobody is watching and where the soul is most open. God is not only the God of public worship, He is the God of your home. He is the God of the hallway, the kitchen, the doorway, the couch, and yes, the bedroom. And that means the places you think are common may be more important than you realize. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you looked at your bed as more than furniture? When did you last see it as a place connected to your peace, your mind, your dreams, and your spiritual life? Most people never think about it. That is exactly why this matters. The bed is not only where the body falls down at the end of the day, it is where the mind unclenches. It is where the soul exhales. It is where the spirit becomes open in ways it rarely does in daylight. It is where you are most unguarded, most still, most reachable. And because of that, it matters more than most people think. The place where you sleep is meant to be a place of peace, a place of healing, a place where the noise of the day is laid down and the heart becomes quiet again. That is why corrupted rest is such a serious thing. When sleep is heavy, broken, full of unease, full of dark dreams, or full of pressure you cannot explain, it touches everything. It touches your mood, your focus, your patience, your prayer life, your relationships, and even your hope. This is why you cannot afford to treat your resting place carelessly. And stay with me here, because this is where many people miss it. They fight big battles in public while ignoring small doors in private. They ask why they feel blocked, but they never examine the atmosphere of the space where they spend night after night. What if the issue is not always the battle out there, but the condition of the place where you lay your head? Many people have allowed things onto their beds that should never be there, not because they are evil in themselves every time, but because they carry the weight, residue, noise, and pressure of the day into a space that should be set apart for peace. That is the issue. Carelessness, casual habits, a slow loss of sensitivity. A bed becomes a storage place, a dumping place, a random surface for whatever is in your hands. Clothes from outside get thrown across the pillow. Shoes land where your body is meant to rest. Bags, wallets, devices, and clutter pile up without a second thought. And over time, the place that should feel light begins to feel heavy. The place that should calm you begins to carry tension. The place meant for deep rest begins to feel spiritually noisy. You may not have words for it, but you feel it. You wake tired. You wake restless. You wake with pressure already sitting on your chest before the day even starts. If this is touching something in you, keep listening, because this is not about fear or superstition. It is about order. It is about honoring peace. It is about recognizing that private habits shape spiritual atmosphere more than most people admit. One act of awareness can begin a shift. One simple act of removing what does not belong can open space for greater calm, clearer thought, and deeper rest. Think for a moment about the last time you truly rested. Not just slept because your body crashed, not just closed your eyes because you were exhausted. I mean real rest, the kind where you woke up clear, the kind where your chest felt lighter, the kind where your thoughts were not racing before your feet hit the floor, the kind where it felt like peace had sat in the room all night long. Some people remember that feeling, others do not, and that is painful because real rest was never meant to be rare, it was meant to be normal. We hear a lot about prayer, worship, effort, discipline, and pressing through, but people do not talk enough about rest. They do not talk enough about sleep as something holy, something protected, something connected to the condition of the inner life. Yet every night is an invitation to lay down burdens, step away from striving, and surrender what you cannot carry anymore. The resting place should not be treated like an afterthought. It should not become a pile of stress in fabric form. It should not look like the outside world exploded on your sheets. The moment you start seeing your bed as a place connected to restoration, your habits begin to change. You stop throwing anything there. You stop letting chaos settle there. You become more aware, more intentional, more protective of the atmosphere you sleep in. There is a reason disorder around rest affects people so deeply. Rest is never just physical, it reaches inward. When your body lies down, everything hidden rises closer to the surface. The noise you ignored in the day becomes louder in the dark. The pressure you pushed down begins to press back. And if the atmosphere around your rest is filled with clutter, tension, and the symbols of daily strain, it becomes harder to settle, harder to breathe, harder to let go. That is why small things matter. People often look for dramatic answers while ignoring ordinary patterns. But many battles do not begin in obvious places. They begin in repeated habits that slowly form an environment. An unguarded environment becomes an invitation to confusion, heaviness, and unrest. This is not about becoming extreme. It is about becoming awake. It is about asking simple questions with honesty. What is sitting where peace should sit? What am I bringing into the place where my mind is supposed to become still? What is touching the space where I am supposed to recover? You would be surprised how powerful those questions can be. And do not click off here because the next part is where this gets very practical. We are not speaking in vague ideas. We are talking about the objects people touch every day without ever thinking about what they may be carrying into the atmosphere of their sleep. Look at the common things. Look at what travels with you all day long: your shoes, your clothes, your wallet, your phone, your bag. These things move through crowded places, stressful places, heavy places, loud places, anxious places. They move through effort, pressure, deadlines, conversations, bad news, arguments, temptations, scrolling, striving, and noise. Then many people come home and place those same things right onto the bed without a thought. But think about that. Shoes touch the ground of every place you have walked through. Clothes absorb the environment of the whole day. A wallet carries the weight of money pressure, bills, worry, and constant thinking about need and lack. A phone is connected to endless voices, endless images, endless comparison, endless distraction, and often endless bad news. And yet, people place those things beside their pillow or under it, then ask why their rest feels crowded. Again, this is not about fear, it is about wisdom. If something has carried the energy of the outside world all day, why bring it straight into the place where your soul is supposed to breathe? Why lay it on the surface where peace should settle? Why let the symbols of pressure rest where you are supposed to release pressure? Sometimes the atmosphere shifts, not because life outside changes first, but because you finally stop carrying the outside world into the deepest room of your night. Some people say this sounds too simple, too ordinary, too small to matter. But that is often how the deepest problems hide. They hide in routine. They hide in familiarity. They hide in the habits nobody questions because everybody does them. Yet, small habits build large atmospheres. A quiet room can still hold tension. A soft bed can still carry unrest. A beautiful home can still feel spiritually crowded if nothing is guarded and everything is dumped anywhere. The problem is not always dramatic darkness. Sometimes the problem is accumulated disorder. Sometimes it is the steady layering of noise on top of the very place meant for restoration. Sometimes it is a slow dulling of awareness until the private space no longer feels sacred at all. That is why this matters so much. What you do daily shapes what you feel deeply. What you tolerate casually can affect what you carry emotionally and spiritually. The enemy rarely needs loud entrances when quiet habits give constant access. It is enough to keep you careless, enough to keep you numb, enough to keep you treating the place of peace like just another surface. And over time, the effects grow. You feel more drained, more irritable, more cloudy, more blocked, not because every problem begins in the bedroom, but because neglected private space can strengthen what is already trying to weigh you down. And if that is true, then simple change can begin real relief. So, what should you do? Start with honesty. Walk into your room and really look. Do not glance. Look. What is on your bed right now? What sits there regularly? What lands there at the end of every day? What have you normalized? Take the shoes off the bed. Take the outdoor clothes off the pillow and wash them before they return to resting space. Move the wallet, move the bag, move the random clutter, move the receipts, the laptop, the cords, the work papers, the things tied to rush and pressure. And yes, move the phone farther away if you can. Let your bed stop being a charging station for the noise of the world. Let it stop being a shelf for stress. Let it stop being a dumping ground for everything you were too tired to put away. Turn it back into a place of peace. Clean the room, open the air, change the sheets, remove what feels heavy. Pray if that is your practice. Sit in the silence for a moment before sleeping. Speak peace over your room. Speak calm over your mind. Make that place feel different on purpose. These are not empty gestures. Repeated actions teach the heart what the space is for. And when the space changes, many people find that their breathing changes, their thoughts slow down, and their nights begin to soften. There is also something deeper here. Many people do not rest because they do not know how to stop carrying the day. Their body lies down, but the day comes with them. Their eyes close, but their thoughts keep running. Their room is dark, but inwardly everything is still bright with pressure. The bed becomes a second office, a second argument, a second battlefield, a second marketplace of fear and unfinished tasks. That is why removing physical clutter is not only about the objects, it is also a signal. It tells your inner world we are not carrying everything in here tonight. It says the striving stops here. It says the noise does not get this close. It says this space belongs to peace, not panic. This space belongs to surrender, not endless tension. And yes, sometimes healing begins with something as basic as where you place your shoes, how you treat your sheets, what you allow near your pillow, and whether your room feels like a refuge or a storage bin for stress. Never underestimate what repeated peace can do. Never underestimate what a cleaner atmosphere can do to a tired soul. Sometimes breakthrough does not enter through dramatic moments first. Sometimes it enters through quiet obedience, small order, and the humble decision to stop being careless with the place where you are meant to recover. You may be wondering, can something this simple really matter that much? Think about how much of life is shaped by what repeats. One harsh word repeated can wound deeply. One kind word repeated can heal deeply. One anxious habit repeated can train the body to live on edge. One peaceful habit repeated can slowly calm the whole person. The private life is built by repetition, so if chaos is repeated in the place of rest, unrest grows roots. But if peace is repeated there, peace grows roots too. That is why tonight matters. This is not just a message to hear and forget. This is something to act on. If you feel like your room has been heavy, if your sleep has been restless, if your mornings have been draining before they even begin, try the simple reset. Remove what does not belong. Make the room clean. Make the bed clear. Leave the outside world outside as much as possible. Let your final environment of the night speak calm instead of clutter. And here is a retention line for you because this is where many people miss the breakthrough. Do not wait for a perfect spiritual feeling before you make the change. Make the change first. Sometimes clarity comes after obedience. Sometimes peace comes after preparation. Sometimes the atmosphere shifts because you finally chose to honor what you had been ignoring. There is a quiet danger in becoming too familiar with what should still be treated carefully. Familiarity makes people casual. Casual habits make people numb. And numbness in private life often leads to weakness in inner life. When everything becomes common, even important spaces stop being protected. That is why so many people can be strong in public and exhausted in private. They know how to present peace, but they do not know how to prepare for it at home. They know how to say the right things, but they have not created the right atmosphere for real rest. This is your reminder that peace is not only something you ask for, it is also something you make room for. You do not create peace by force, but you can absolutely remove what keeps disturbing it. You can close small doors. You can end careless habits. You can stop partnering with confusion in the little things. You can decide that your room will no longer hold whatever the day dragged in. And if this is speaking to you, stay to the end in your own heart. Do not just agree emotionally, act practically, because a message that is only felt for a moment changes nothing. But a message that becomes a new habit can change nights, mornings, moods, and even the way your whole home feels over time. And let me add this because it matters. The goal is not to make you afraid of objects. The goal is to make you aware of atmosphere. There is a difference. Fear creates bondage. Awareness creates wisdom. Fear makes people act in panic. Wisdom makes people act with peace and intention. So do not turn this into anxiety. Turn it into order. Turn it into reverence. Turn it into a quiet decision that your resting place will no longer carry what your soul is trying to heal from. This is about setting boundaries for peace. It is about saying, not everything gets access to this space. Not every symbol of pressure gets to lie next to me while I sleep. Not every piece of the outside world gets to travel into my deepest hours of rest. That is a powerful decision. And it is a needed one in a generation drowning in noise, distraction, speed, endless content, and constant mental pulling. The room must become a refuge again. The bed must become simple again. The night must become softer again. If your soul has felt crowded, do not ignore that. If your sleep has felt troubled, do not just normalize it. Start making space for peace in real ways and give that process time to work deeply. So tonight, before you sleep, pause. Stand in your room and ask yourself what belongs there and what does not. Remove the things that carry strain. Clear the bed completely. Let the surface meant for your rest become clean, calm, and intentional. Fold what needs folding. Put away what needs putting away. Wash what needs washing. Turn off what needs turning off. Lower the noise. Slow your breathing. Sit for a moment in the quiet and let your heart come down from the day. If you pray, pray. If you reflect, reflect. If you need to release what has been choking your peace, release it there and then. But do not return to carelessness after hearing this. That would be the saddest part. You have heard the warning. You have felt the nudge. Now answer it. Because the shift may not begin with some huge event. It may begin with one clean bed, one quiet room, one moved phone, one pair of shoes taken away, one decision to honor peace again. And if you do that, do not be surprised if your sleep begins to change, your mind begins to clear, and your room begins to feel lighter than it has in a long time. Sometimes the breakthrough people are begging for starts with the place they have been neglecting every night. And here is the final truth I want to leave with you. Peace is precious. Rest is precious. Your private space matters. The small things matter more than people think. What you permit repeatedly shapes what you experience deeply. So do not despise the simple instruction. Do not roll past it because it sounds ordinary. Ordinary things can open doors. Ordinary things can also close them. The same space that has felt heavy can become gentle again. The same nights that felt crowded can become calm again. The same room that carried tension can become a place of renewal again. But you have to make room. You have to choose it. You have to treat the place of rest with more honor than the world taught you to give it. Let tonight be the turning point. Let this be the moment you stop sleeping beside stress, stop laying down in clutter, stop resting in the middle of symbols of burden, and start protecting the atmosphere of your nights. Do not just say this was interesting, do something with it. Clear the bed, clear the room, clear the pattern. And as you do, expect a shift. Quietly at first, gently at first, but real. Because sometimes the blessing is not absent. Sometimes the space has simply been too crowded to notice it.